Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Bazaar. I'm your old crone, Jessica.
I'm Montana.
If you're new here, hello, welcome. We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting. Where have you been? Bye.
I was going to say up your button around the corner.
Oh, you're so old.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You know what?
Thanks for joining
old.
us.
Okay. I am old. I'm just going to accept it. Age is just a number.
It's a privilege, baby.
It's just about how you feel. I feel like shit, but age is just a number.
Yeah, I was coming up here to get everything set up and my knee had a really bad twinge in it. I'm like, man, it just never ends. It's always some joint. And I'm only in my 40s. What the hell?
I know my knees crack every time I go up the steps. I'm like, I could never sneak up on somebody.
Gosh, and massages now. It's so noisy just because of our joints.
I know,
And
it's like a
cracking the whole
peaceful,
time.
relaxing environment, and then you hear a crack, especially in the couples, like from the other massage therapist. It's like crack, 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 and then a hip pop there, a knee pop here.
Yeah. And now we've got lo-fi hip hop music playing for some reason. So it just adds to the experience.
It's been a weird week, guys.
Yep, more technical issues as per usual.
Yeah, so if you listen to the first episode of Aileen Wuornos, apparently it decided to cut off about the hour mark for some forsaken reason.
Cursed.
So I had to go back and edit the whole entire thing because, yeah, that's a story in itself. So, but it's fully up there again. If you want to give it another go, it's there.
Yeah, it was like the last 20 minutes or something. Just poof, like a fart in the wind.
And I'm almost like, well, I was gonna call you and tell you that, but last time I told you that, you said it was fine, and I was like, no, just tell me, just email us, just message us, just.
Well, my Brazilian friend is actually the one that told me. She's like, I don't know if it's on my end, but at about 1 hour, there's nothing. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me.
So yeah, I went and listened to both, and like Apple Podcast, it still had the transcript of what we were saying. So you had to click on the transcript for it to play, but it only played that little like paragraph. And then Spotify, it just completely stopped. It was completely blank. And I was like, it's like, here we go. I was
Yep,
like,
it's an adventure.
I'm gonna spend last weekend just catching up on a bunch of podcast stuff for YouTube. And then I got that text message and I'm like, oh my God, son of a bitch. Just trying to catch up. But I did. I got everything edited, everything caught up. We just got it posted on YouTube.
Yep, I got to do my little touches. She does her end, sends it to me. I do my end, and then we put it up. So it's a whole system, baby.
It's been a wonderful weekend, Jessica. Let me tell you, it's been so great.
Yeah. Well, again, because nothing can ever go right for us, Dominic and I have had a plan that he's ready to get his license for a while now. And yesterday was the day to go and get his permit again because he already got it once and it expired. So
Dominic.
he's ready. And so we got all our documentation together, or his documentation together yesterday. And I was trying to call the DMV, and the closest one for him to test for a permit is all the way, it's like 30 minutes from here. I'm like, are we in the city? Like, I don't understand this. So anyway, I tried to call just to make sure that they did that there. And did anybody answer? No. I called like 4 times and it just rang and rang and rang and rang. And I'm like, well, it says they're open. Let's go. So we get there and we're walking in and Dominic's like, what is this? And he's pointing to a sign on the front of the building that says drivers testing closed on Mondays.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's just like the actual test. Let's go on in. So we go in, we get our number, we're sitting there waiting. As we're sitting there waiting, this other mom comes in with her son and she just goes straight up to the front desk and she's like, yeah, we need to take his permit test. And the lady's like, you do that online? And she's like, yeah, I tried to do it online, but it keeps kicking me out or whatever. So we came here. And she's like, yeah, the testing center's closed on Mondays. So we just get up and leave. We're like, oh, okay, whatever. So I'm like, go freaking figure.
I don't remember doing it online. Did we do it online? I don't remember.
No.
I don't think we did.
No, I did all my stuff in person. I mean, it was back in freaking the 90s for me.
Gosh.
But I wanted him to do that anyway because, I mean, I saw that that was an option. I'm like, why don't you want to do that? And he's like, I want to go back to the time where you actually had to do stuff in person. I just want to do it all in person. It's like back in the good old days.
Yeah, he's a rare specimen.
He is. He is. So I'm like, that's fine. Let's go. But no.
I mean, every time I go to the DMV, I'm just convinced everyone who works there hates their lives.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't even answer the phone. And that's not the first time. Like, I called them weeks ago and they didn't answer the phone then either. Like, what kind of business doesn't open or doesn't answer their phone?
And I get, like, you're always busy. And if you're not a people person, you probably shouldn't work there. I'm sure you deal with, like, a lot of people, which is, like, can be very frustrating. But god dang.
Yeah, and I do
be very cranky.
They get a lot of attitude. I forget what I was doing the other day, and Dom was like, I think it was about that, or maybe it was something else. I don't know. He's like, are you going to be a Karen?
He
like,
said that to her?
To me.
Oh.
Because I was pissed about something. And he's like, are you going to be a Karen? If I
try to be nice wherever I go. Like, even if you're not being the best service, I'll be very nice to you. But sometimes it's be like, what is wrong with you? Just, if you hate your life this much, just leave.
Yeah, and if you don't like people, maybe don't work with people.
And I had to go to renew my license, which I finally renewed it to the 8-year, by the way, instead of 4 years. So I don't have to deal with these people until 8 years.
Oh. I didn't even know that was an option.
Neither did I until this time around.
Wow.
And you need, like, 2 proofs of, like, identification.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I moved literally down the street, and the only thing about the address change was just a number. Everything else was the same. And she's like, well, is your address still this? And I said, no, it's the exact same, except for it's this number instead. And, like, the look she gave me was like, are you kidding me? And then she's like, well, I need 2 mail, whatever, proof that you live there now. So I brought a few, and then one, I guess, was like a medical bill, which I didn't know. It didn't say online, don't bring medical bills. It had my address on it, though. Like, who wants to pay for my medical bill? Like, you know what I mean? And so she's like, medical bills don't count or something. She, like, literally kind of like threw it back at me. And I was like,
wow.
Woman, I swear to God, I'm about to lose my patience with you.
Yeah, I'm sure they have to have a lot of patience too, because that probably happens all day long, every day. People don't bring the right stuff, and I don't know, but still, that's your job.
I brought, like, a utility bill or something. But I'm like, if it just said 2 pieces of mail identification with your address on it, I didn't know. Just because a medical bill was inside it's still my address with my name on it.
You can't use the medical bill.
I don't know.
So weird.
I don't know, but she was very rude about it. Like, her job was very difficult to change 2 numbers, so, which maybe it is. It's a lot of work. I don't know, but you don't have to be mean to me about it. So sorry if you work there, but if you hate your life that much, you shouldn't work at the DMV. I don't know how we got on that rant, but I had a very bad last experience trying to renew my license. And it was so funny because this kid was passed out. He was waiting to do his driver's test. He was passed out. He's like sitting there, mouth open, snoring, and his phone kept going off. And it was like, what was it? What was his song? It was just like, whistle, baby, whistle, whatever that song is. And this kept going off
I don't know
over
that song.
and over. Oh, just blow my whistle, baby, whistle, baby. That's what it was. And this kept going off. And he's just passed out. Everyone's laughing at him. I was like, this is the most entertainment of this whole entire situation.
Well, the chick that finally answered the phone while I was there, I'm like, well, you actually do answer the phone because she was talking on the phone.
Her and was like, bitch.
But it was so funny because the person she's talking to, she's like, oh, so you got caught driving without your license?
Oh my gosh.
Like, that's the call you take? Come on. Could have saved me a trip.
You can tell we're old because we're bitching about the DMV.
Oh, yeah. You millennials out there, you feel us. You know, this is
just let us renew online.
Yeah, one thing after another. This never seems to stop. And if you're new here, we always do this about for 15 minutes. So if you want to skip forward to like the 15-minute mark in each episode, feel free.
Oh, we're sorry.
Yeah.
Jessica started it this time.
I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. All caught up.
Welcome to Weekly Bazaar.
Where we vent our problems to everybody who doesn't give two shits. You're welcome.
Yeah, I think also instead of saying we're cursed, let's just start saying we're blessed. So maybe that will turn things around.
Hopefully.
We're blessed.
Yeah, I think one of my best years ever, my mantra was just trust the process. And when I had that mindset, everything just kind of worked out. Like that was one of the best years of my life. It's like I had no plan. I'm like, okay, just trust the process, and worked out great.
Mine is leap of faith. You just need a leap of faith. That's mine. That worked really well because when I was, hiking on the trail for 6 months, every time something was going wrong, I'd be like, let's just have a leap of faith, and then something great would happen every single time. So I need to get back to that motto, leap of faith.
Yeah.
We're blessed, bitches.
Putting it out there.
And we're about to get depressed again, so.
Hell yeah.
I hope to finish Aileen today.
Well, we better get started.
No matter how long it takes, I'm going to finish her. Even though the system finished her for us.
Yeah.
We made it through most of her victims. We just have one more victim to go over. And we didn't get a lot of controversy on our second reel.
Yeah.
But
you just never know with the reels.
We got some followers, though. Hey.
Woo! I saw we got a few followers on YouTube, too. Whoops.
Get off your phone, woman. This is important.
I was looking at our TikTok to see.
She's really sexting her other boyfriend.
No. I don't know why anybody would want two men. One's enough. It's a lot to handle.
No comment.
You can edit that out.
No, it's fine. All right. Are you ready to get started? You
Ready.
old crone,
Yep. My knees creaking and I'm ready to go.
before you fall asleep?
I just get super fidgety, that's all. I'm already
We should have
fidgety.
done something funny where we started the episode and then like as the episode goes on and like you can see on YouTube, then you just put out like on a gray wig because I've been talking for so long. That would be funny. don't, don't you have a gray wig?
Dude.
See?
We'll have to do that.
Like you're slowly aging the longer I talk.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
great.
shit. All right, maybe for a future episode we can do that.
And then eventually just get like a life-size skeleton and that's what's left at the end.
Yeah.
It's just my
Oh,
bones.
we could borrow one from my mom. She's a science teacher.
Ah, she's a science teacher? I knew
Yeah,
she
like
was a teacher. I didn't know she was a science
when
teacher.
I was in massage school, she gave me her skeleton
Ah, nice.
to
Skelly.
study on. Fun fact. She's a science teacher. Shout out to them teachers out there. Y'all deserve everything.
Yes.
Well, y'all deserve the best.
The best.
Teachers work hard. Don't ignore your teachers. Jesus Christ, we are old. Okay, so we are on the 7th victim. And the 7th victim, so Walter Gino Antonio. He was murdered November 17th, 1990. And this is what she said about him. When we were struggling with the gun and everything else, again, he fell to the ground and he started to run back. Ran away. And I shot him in the back, right in the back. He just kind of looked at me for a second and he said something like, shit, what did he say? I think he said, you cunt, or something like that. And I said, you bastard. And I shot him again.
Here we go again. She's just pulling shit right out of her ass.
I mean, to be fair, you shot him in the back. You kind of deserve to be called a cunt.
True.
And then she shot him again. So again, she kind of, okay. She just said it. How is this self-defense? He ran. He was running away and she shot him in the back.
She's digging her own grave with her words. It's just not believable, honey. It's not believable.
Because they were struggling with the gun. Because you probably put out the gun. He probably tried to get it from you. It fell. He ran and then you picked it up. Bada bing, bada boom. And then now he's dead. Okay.
Bada bing, bada boom.
It's probably not the best thing to say about a murder
I was going to say. Oh, only
here we are.
Only here at Weekly Bazaar.
And we're not laughing at the situation. We're laughing at the ridiculousness of the situation.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. It's just the whole thing is just... All right, anyway. So that was her last victim. So finally, by now, a number of law enforcement officers investigating the various murders were starting to put together their evidence. It's about time, right? So, for example, Marion and Citrus County detectives had compared notes on the Burris and Spears killings. So you're getting police divisions from different counties, and they're kind of going over what notes they have to compare the killings and how they're similar. So the crimes had a number of features in common, including the fact that the victims were all older men who had been robbed, and 2 of them had their pockets turned inside out. All 3 killings had been carried out using a small caliber weapon. Bullets recovered from the bodies were 22 caliber copper coated and hollow nosed with rifling marks made by a right twist firearm. I'm not a gun person, so I don't know what any of that means.
Me either.
Another link emerged when the police exchanged the composite sketches made by their individual witnesses. They bore significant similarities, suggesting that they were looking for the same short, blonde woman. If she was a sole killer and not working with the man, the officers reasoned that she might as well use a handgun. And police decided to turn to the press for help. And in late November, they ran a story about the killings, reporting that the police were looking for two women. Newspapers throughout Florida picked up the story and ran it, along with the sketches of the woman in question. In every respect, they matched Aileen Wuornos and Tyra Moore. Both women were now suspects in a serial homicide case. And they could gain a tremendous amount of information from the men who met Lee and were lucky to escape with their lives. And in November 1990, the date is uncertain, but trucker Bobby Lee Copus was driving his car from his home at Lakeland along I-4 to Orlando to pay an insurance bill, and the trip was about 45 miles. En
Dang.
route, just to
It's a
pay a
long way to
bill.
go
So,
just to pay a bill. Yeah.
and you're complaining about the DMV. 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It's a city folk for you. Anything past 20 minutes is like so far.
I know. My parents moved out far, even though it's really not far, but it's like far. It's like 30 minutes, and I'm like, you guys live so far. En route, he pulled him to a truck stop near Haines City, which is about 24 miles southwest of Orlando. Here he met Lee, who said that she needed a ride to Orlando. She told the trucker she needed to get to Daytona Beach by a certain time to pick up her two children at a daycare center, and once in Orlando, she said she would call her sister for a ride the rest of the way home. Copus drove to his bank, withdrew $4,000 for his insurance bill, and tucked the money into his sun visor. He continued to Orlando along a country road where Lee was soon to proposition him, asking for $100 with the promise of giving him the best blowjob he had ever had in his life.
Them
Copus.
DSLs, baby.
What?
DSLs.
DSLs.
Yeah, we won't go there.
I don't know what I'm missing. Is this one over my head?
I'll tell you later.
Everyone's like, Montana, you're so stupid. Copus, who was happily married, had no intentions of cheating on his wife. I was going to be like, So he declined, but twice more Lee propositioned him, insisting that he stop in an orange grove. Again, he refused, and Lee became angry. The evidence at Lee's trial, Copus said, when she propositioned me for the third time, she wasn't the same person. She opened her purse for a comb. I seen what I thought was a small caliber pistol in her purse. At this point, I was really scared. I just wanted her out of my car in the presence of a lot of people. And this actually ended up saving his life. He stopped at a truck stop payphone, and after telling Lee he would drive her all the way to Daytona Beach,
Daytona Peach, baby.
all the way to Daytona Beach, he gave her $5 to call her sister. As soon as she climbed out of the car, he slammed the door closed and locked it, and that's when Lee flew into a rage.
Ooh,
what
smart.
I saw, that saved his life.
Yes.
What I saw was a woman in total frustration, mad as hell, Copus recalled. As he sped off in a cloud of dust, she screamed after him, Copus, I'll get you, you son of a bitch. I'll kill you like I did the other old fat sons of bitches. And it's highly probable that the next man who stopped to give Lee a ride, more than likely the very same day, that was Walter Gino Antonio.
So she was already in a rage.
Yeah, so she was pissed off from that. She was probably going to kill him, but he refused to cheat on his wife like a good old son of a bitch. And then she is really upset. And then that's where Walter Gino Antonio comes in. Hailing from Merritt Island, Cocoa Beach, along the east coast of Florida, 60-year-old Walter Gino Antonio was a trucker who doubled as a reserve police officer in Brevard County. I don't know. Sorry, Florida. On Saturday, November 17th, he was driving to Alabama in search of a job. He was recently engaged. He wore a gold and silver diamond ring, a gift from his fiancée. It was a size 10 3/4 yellow gold with a diamond set in a field of white gold. And when Tyra arrived back in Florida after Thanksgiving, Lee gave her this ring as a gift to prove how deeply she loved her. It's icky. It's so icky.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's nasty.
And Walter's obvious route was more or less identical to that of the late Peter that we know she killed earlier. He would use the Florida Turnpike as far as Wildwood, then head upstate along I-75, probably pulling into the Speedway trucks before the long haul north. And on Sunday, November 18th, a police officer out hunting game found a man's body naked except for a pair of socks near the intersection of US 19 and US 27. Walter Antonio had been shot 4 times, 3 times in the torso and once in the head with a .22 caliber handgun. And after the murder, Lee drove the car back to the Fairview Motel and asked the manager, Rose McNeil, if she could park her boyfriend's car behind the building.
That's not sus at all.
Well, Rose was told that the boyfriend was married and he did not want to have his wife drive by and find his car parked at the hotel. And Rose recalled that Lee left the car there for just a few days. And the maroon Pontiac Grand Prix was found on Saturday, November 24th in a wooded area near I-95 in US 1, which is 20 miles south from where he started his journey. So his car was found a couple days after his body was found. His naked body. The number plate and keys were missing and a bumper sticker had been removed. A piece of paper had been crudely pasted over the vehicle identification number and the doors were locked. And once again, a number of empty Budweiser cans were found on the ground near the vehicle, which had been wiped clean of fingerprints. Like that alone, if they could just saliva or dust the Budweiser cans, we wouldn't have been in this predicament.
Right.
We would have finished this a long time ago. And from the behavior, they were able to see that in the week since his disappearance, his car had been driven over 1,000 miles. Walter's fiance gave the police... we're already going strong. Walter's fiance gave the police a list of possessions that had been in his car, including handcuffs, a reserve deputy badge, a police billy club, a flashlight, a Timex wristwatch, a suitcase, a toolbox, and a baseball cap, and all of these items were missing. Walter Antonio's personal identification and clothing were discovered in a wooded area in Taylor County, and the rest of his property has never been found. Lee would later claim that she was out looking for a customer when Antonio pulled up. She asked if he wanted to help her make some money, but he pulled out his police badge and he threatened to arrest her unless he got a free piece of ass. Under interrogation by police, she was asked, how many times did she shoot Antonio? She said twice, I think. Okay, now how did you feel when you thought he was a cop? At first, because that one guy, that HRS guy telling me he was a cop, I said to myself, that guy was an HRS guy, so this is another faker. He's just trying to get a piece of free ass, and that's all I thought. Yeah, it pissed me off. Well, When you shot him the first time, what did he do? Well, when we were struggling with the gun and everything else, again, he fell to the ground and he started to run away, and I shot him in the back, right in the back. And we already went over that. What did he do then after you shot him in the back? Again, he just kind of looked at me for a second and he said, shit. What did he say? I think he said, you cunt, or something like that.
Of
And I
course he
said,
did.
you bastard. And I shot him again. She doesn't have sympathy.
No, none.
So following information through the newspapers, calls began to pour in, and by mid-December of 1990, detectives had a number of firm leads involving the two women suspects. A man in Homosassa Springs, where Lee asked David Spears to drop her off, she said that two women who fitted the composites had rented a RV from him about a year earlier. After searching through his records, he came up with the names of Tyra Moore and Lee. A witness in Tampa said two women had worked at her motel south of Ocola, close to where Troy Burris was murdered. The informant remembered that the blonde was the dominant of the duo, and she believed she was a truck stop prostitute. She also told the police that they were lesbians. And meanwhile, while everything is coming together here, the composite sketches published by the media, they had been haunting Tyra for weeks. And Lee pleaded with Tyra not to leave, and as another display of her love, Lee threw her 9-shot .22 in the brackish water of Rose Bay. Donald Willingham, a friend of Lee's, claimed that Lee told him that her girlfriend was going back up north and that they were splitting up. So Don, being Don, took the woman to the Greyhound bus station in Daytona, where Tyra handed back the ring and they parted ways. From there, he drove Lee to Jack Minnie's warehouse on Nova Road, where she deposited several cardboard boxes. The owners, Jack and Alice Colbert, rented the bin to Lee, who was using the alias Cammie Green, and the cupboard in Building 43 Hall, number 1, Bin G, was paid up until February. And from Jack's mini warehouse, they drove to Don's house and had sex in bed. And then at the trial, they asked Willingham during his deposition, "In going to bed with her, did she charge you money?" He said, "No, she didn't charge me any money. I had been hauling her around as a friend, really." At least she didn't kill him.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
Because
she needed him, I guess.
Yeah. And Lee made her way back into the Fairview Motel, asking to be moved into another room because number 8 just had too many painful memories. Her possessions were now all in a tan suitcase and a single key which opened the storage locker at Jack's mini warehouse. At 12:05 p.m. At 12:05 p.m. on Friday, December 7th, Lee, still using the alias Cammie Marsh Green, once again visited a pawn shop in Daytona Beach. Her ticket number 7529 shows that she received $20 for Walter's engagement ring.
Rip.
Yeah. And at this time, Lee is now 34 years old, but looking considerably older. Lee was mentally and physically almost washed up. Upset over her lost lover, she spent days on end just brooding in her room. And out of money and not prostituting, she had to leave. She went to the streets, sleeping where she could. If she found a job and business was good, she would have the money to get a motel room for the night. However, business was not always good, and life for Lee Wuornos had reached rock bottom. But look at that. Her and Tyra broke up, but she is still going out for Johns and not killing them now? Tell me how that works. The breakthrough for the investigators came from Port Orange, near Daytona. Local police had picked up the trail of the two women and were able to provide a detailed account of the couple's movements from late September to mid-December. A national police computer check gave driver's license and criminal record information on Tyra Moore and some of Lee's aliases that she used, like Susan Blackovic and Cammie Marsh Green. Tyra Moore didn't have a huge record, just some breaking and entering charges against her in 1983, but they were dropped. The Blahovic's alias had one trespassing arrest, while Green had no record at all, and also the photograph of I cannot say this the same. Also, the photograph on Blahovic's license did not match the one for Green. The Green ID was the one that finally paid off. Officers checked pawn shops in the area and found that Cammie Marsh Green had pawned the 35mm camera and a patrol radar detector, which both items were owned by Richard Mallory. And that was way back in the beginning. That was her first victim. And few people even own a Radio Shack radar detector, so this combination sparked the detective's interest. So in Ormond Beach, Lee had pawned a set of tools that matched the description of those taken from David Spears' truck, although the police failed to recover these. And then investigators began the hand search of fingerprint records. About damn time. Within an hour, the team struck gold. The print showed up on a weapons charge and outstanding warrant against a Lori K. Grody, which we know near the beginning that was one of her aliases. Her fingerprints match a bloody palm print found in Peter Sunbird. All of this information was sent to the National Crime Information Center, and responses came from Michigan, Colorado, and Florida, confirming that Lori K. Grody, Susan Blahovic, and Cammie Marsh Green were all aliases for one person, and that we know, Aileen Carol Wuornos. And by now, Tyra was keeping her head down and was back living with her parents in Ohio. And Lee, as we know, was living rough when on Wednesday, December 19th, she met an ex-Marine named Dixie Mills at Wet Willie's Bar on US 1.
Wet Willies.
Wet Willie's. Both were drunk, and they shared a common reason to get plastered. Lee was grieving over her loss of Tyra, while Dixie was shattered because his wife had left him just after a few months of marriage. Mills would later recall that Lee was a very intelligent woman. We talked about a lot of things, from art to parapsychology to ancient history. I couldn't believe I'd met another human being that had such awesome comprehension and knowledge. He found Lee to be wild, savage, and a party animal with insatiable desire for sex and alcohol. There's only two people I've ever met who have met the devil and shaken his hand, said Mills. The one is me, and the other is her. And almost a year later, Mills recounted an entirely different story to the Globe newspaper. He said, "It all started so innocently, but it turned into a nightmare. If I'd known what I was getting myself into, I would have run for my life. But I didn't have a clue. On that first day, I was trying to drown my sorrows in beer at Wet Willie's in Daytona Beach, and I saw this woman do exactly the same thing down at the other end of the bar that night. Her troubles made her all the more appealing. We were both pretty down and out, and we desperately needed each other. Suddenly, she turned, looked deep in my eyes, and said, 'Dick, you and I are one, aren't we?' Several days later, he said that Lee made him an offer. 'Dick, I'll be your wife if you pay me $500 a month.'
Wow. Romantic.
Shit, I'd be like, give me $200.
So I could go to Aldi.
Oh, Jesus. Mills went on to claim that he was stunned. In no way would he ever do such a thing. And according to him, she revealed many of her secret fantasies. one of which entailed her being hooded while she was tied to a tree in a forest. Then a guy would come up to her and rape her and then shoot her in the head. She told him that killing would make her climax.
At least she's honest, I guess. What a mess.
50 Shades of Aileen. So, and apparently, and this is Mill's side of the story, he took her to 2 family parties, one at Christmas and the other at his daughter's house in Ohio.
OH.
On both occasions, she got blind drunk and insulted everybody. After that, I offered her $500 if she stayed out of my life. Lee dismissed all of this to me, saying, "Yeah, I remember the guy. I stayed with him, and he paid me for sex. He gave me $50 plus a few beers. I never went to no parties with him because he left me to get with his new wife over Christmas. He was crying like a kid over his wife. Never met his daughter either. What man is going to introduce a hooker like me to his daughter when he is trying to get back with his wife? It's all bull." That, I don't know, because she kind of has a point.
She does.
But if his head's not in the right place, he's not going to be thinking. So he just probably just was lonely and was like, let's go spend Christmas together. So I don't know who's telling the truth or not. It's like, how many times can you cry wolf at this point? So I don't know. And on Tuesday, January 8th, 1991, at 9:19 p.m., posing as leather-clad bikers, 2 undercover detectives, Mike Joyner and Dick Martin, kept her under surveillance. A police report describes the events that led to her arrest. A surveillance team was dispatched to the Daytona Beach area in search of Aileen Wuornos and Tyra Moore. So, on January 8th, 1991, a team of officers inside the Port Orange pub, and that's the pub that the guy from TikTok said they make the drink named after her, like Lady Killer or something.
Gotcha.
A team of officers inside the Port Orange pub on Ridgewood Avenue, Daytona, spotted Wuornos at that location. Undercover officer Mick Joyner observed her with a tan suitcase which she carried from her location to another. Conversations with her and the observations of the undercover team were that she had mood swings from friendly to aggressive and abusive, and is known to consume both Busch and Budweiser canned beer and smoke Marlboro cigarettes. Marlboro? She smokes cigarettes, okay? She told Mike Joyner that everything she had was in a suitcase, and showed a key to him, which she said was her life. And we know that was the key to her lockup storage in the warehouse. She then walked to the Last Resort bar, where she had been sleeping rough on a yellow vinyl car seat outside of the premises. She spent the night in the bar with his suitcase. She hadn't any place to stay and told Joyner that she had broken up with her girlfriend Ty and missed her. The surveillance continued until the evening hours at the Last Resort bar, and intelligence revealed a large party was to occur at the bar that evening, and because of this, a decision was made that surveillance would be almost impossible. So the 2 undercover detectives struck up a conversation with Lee. They bought her a few beers. She left the bar at around 10 p.m. carrying a leather suitcase and declining the offer of a lift. And the arrest was almost ruined when 2 Florida Department of Law Enforcement, so FDLE officers, pulled up behind Lee, following her with their lights off as she walked down Ridgewood Avenue. Police at the command post radioed the FDLE officers to back off, allowing Lee to proceed to the Last Resort. Joyner and Martin met her at the Last Resort, drinking and chatting until midnight. Joyner and Martin asked if she would like to use their motel room to clean up. At first, she was reluctant, but then she changed her mind and she left the bar with them. Outside on the steps leading to the bar, Larry Horzepa of the Marion County Sheriff's Office approached Lee and told her that she was being arrested on an outstanding warrant for Lori Grody, again, one of her many aliases. And this related to the illegal possession of a firearm, and no mention was made of the murders. The arrest was kept low-key, and no announcement was made to the media that a suspected serial killer had been arrested. Their caution was well advised, for as yet the police had no murder weapon or Tyra Moore. Tyra Moore was located on Thursday, January 10th by Mayor Dan Henry of Marion County Sheriff's Department. She had fled her parents' home and was living with her sister in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
She gets around.
I don't like Tyra. We know this. Once he had cleared any jurisdictional matters with the local police, Mayor Henry did something quite remarkable for a senior officer investigating a serial murder case. He booked into a local motel with one of his prime suspects, Tyra, and then he summoned Jerry Thompson of Citrus County and Bruce Munster of Marion County, who flew to Scranton to interview her. In her possession were, among other things, a briefcase and a clock radio identified as the property of Charles Humphreys, and other items the property of Curtis or Corky Reed, as we know as Lee's other victims. In that motel room, Tyra was informed of her rights, but not charged with any offense or granted immunity. There was no plea bargain deal either. Munster says he made sure she knew what perjury was, swore her in, and sat back as she gave her statement. Within a short while, she agreed to testify against Lee at trial, and she was involved with Munster, Henry, and Binniger to sell her story for a television movie. Our 3 cops, having access to the entire investigation papers, would act as consultants. It's such bullshit, dude. Initially, Tyra told the police that she had sort of known about the Mallory murder until Lee had arrived home with Richard Mallory's Cadillac. Lee had openly confessed that she had killed a man that day, but Tyra told Lee not to say anything else. I told her I don't want to hear about it, she told the detectives. And then anytime she would come home after that and say certain things, telling me about where she got something, I'd say, I don't want to hear it. Tyra had her suspicions, she admitted, but wanted to know as little as possible about Lee's business.
Right.
The more she knew, she reasoned, the more compelled she would feel to report Lee to the authorities. She did not want to do that. I was just scared, she said, bursting into tears. She always said she never hurt me, and then you can't believe her. So I don't know what she would have done. The next day, Tyra accompanied Munster and Thompson on their return to Florida to assist in the investigation. They needed a confession from Lee to make the case virtually airtight. And they put Tyra under a 24-hour surveillance. They would register into a Daytona motel and have her make contact with Lee in jail, explaining that she had received money from her mother and had returned to collect the rest of her things. And their conversations would be recorded. She would tell Lee that the authorities had been questioning her family and that she thought Florida murders would be pinned on her. And Munster and Thompson hoped that out of loyalty to Tyra, Lee would confess. And Lee's not stupid. She was aware, that the phone she was using was being monitored, and she made efforts to speak of the crimes in code words and to construct alibis. And the calls continued for 3 days. Tyra became even more insistent that the police were after her, and it became clear that Lee knew what was expected of her. Which I think is sad in a sense, especially if you watch the movie, it's like she knows, I get what you're trying to get me to do, and if this is what I have to do to protect you, then I will.
Yeah.
And I think that's shitty. Yeah, she could confess, but I don't know, just the way she does it and how Tyra took no responsibility of anything,
Yeah.
I think is really shitty.
Yeah, I can see why you aren't a fan of Tyra.
Yeah. And like she even voiced suspicion that Tyra was not alone and that someone was recording their conversations. But as time passed, she became less careful about what she said. She would not let Tyra go down with her. She said, just go ahead and let them know what you need to know, what they want to know or anything. And I will cover for you because you are innocent. I'm not going to let you go to jail. Listen, if I have to confess, I will.
What was it about Tyra?
If you look at Tyra, have you seen what she looks like?
Mm-hmm.
You're like,
I
this
put her
is
on the reel.
this is the woman that.
I know.
So Lee would later say, I was sure it was being taped. The way she was talking, I felt it. The way she was able to come back to Florida so quickly. She was staying in a motel for $50 a night. Where'd she get $50 a night? But she kept crying. They're going to destroy me. I might as well kill myself. I need you to talk to the cops so they'll leave me alone. So I went and told the police that she had nothing to do with the crimes, but I also told them 37 times that it was in
Uh,
self-defense.
I just took the last drink of my coffee and it was full of frickin' coffee grounds.
Ew.
Ugh.
Nothing wakes you up in the morning like a good cup of coffee grounds.
Mm-mm-mm.
Ugh.
Yuck. Anyway.
Her love for Tyra was such that she had to clear her lover's name. If she did confess, maybe she would go to heaven. So, in the presence of Assistant Public Defender Michael O'Neill, is when she actually confessed to the murders of Richard Mallory, David Spears, Charles Cascarden, Peter Sims, Troy Burrs, Walter Gino Antonio, and Charles Humphreys. During her confession, Lee returned again and again to two themes. She wanted to make it clear that Tyra Moore was not involved in any of the murders and that nothing was her fault. Neither the murders nor the circumstances that had shaped her life as a criminal. And she claimed that all of the killings were acts of self-defense. Each victim had either assaulted, threatened, or raped her. Her story seemed to evolve and take on a life of its own as she related it. When she thought she had said something that might be incriminating, she would back up and retell the part, revising the details to suit her own needs. Lee claimed to have been raped several times over the years and decided it was not going to happen again. So in the future, when a customer became aggressive, she killed out of fear. And this is one of her confessions. I'm very, very, I have to admit, I'm scared about all this. I mean, very scared. I wouldn't have confessed if it wasn't for the fact that I don't want my girlfriend involved. I don't know because I thought about it many times, but I don't want her involved because she's not involved. I mean, you can ask her questions and stuff, but she didn't know anything. She wasn't around, and I'm telling you, I love her very much to the max, is what I'm trying to say. I love her deep down inside very much. She's a Christian. Well, she's not a Christian, but she used to go to church and she just worked, ate and slept and watched videos at home or watched TV, Wheel of Fortune or Jeopardy or whatever in movies.
Worked.
She worked when they first met as a maid. But like Lee was like, nah, quit your job. Let me pay for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She never did anything else. Pop open a few beers because she's not guilty, and I'm willing to take the punishment because I'd rather confess that I did it so she won't have to. In other words, she doesn't deserve any punishment. She didn't do anything. I don't know how to express myself on this. I don't want you to think I'm doing it because I love her and I'm trying to protect her or something, because I'm not. I'm doing it because I love her and she's not guilty.
But they
Again,
got you on the phone recordings saying that you were going to do whatever it took to protect her.
she didn't do anything. I'm being very wide open and honest. It's a very frightening thing for me to do, but I told her I'm a bum. She was crying her eyes out. My family's getting all messed up.
I don't
She
think she
said
can be honest. Like anything she says is almost, it's just like half truths.
a lot of recants in her stories.
And that too, yeah.
She says, I didn't do anything. You got me involved in all this jazz because of the car that you got wrecked. You need to go and tell them that you did it and get me straightened out on this. And I said, yes, Ty. Okay, I will. And that's why I'm doing this, because I don't need her family or her getting messed up for something that I did. I know I'm going to miss her for the rest of my life. She's a real good person, so kind and sweet. Realize now how badly I used to hurt some families. And the renow, these men were older men. Another thing after they were dead that didn't bother me, because I thought, well, they're older. They probably don't have anybody, they probably don't have anybody hardly anyway, so it didn't worry me too much. But I didn't kill them for that reason. I killed them because they tried to do something to me, but I think that, well, they're old. Their father and mother's probably deceased, and so why worry about it and stuff? I don't know. There's creaky spots in my head, I guess. I wish to God, I wish I hadn't done it. Not that I'm feeling sorry for myself for what I'm going to play. I'm saying I wish I never had the gun. I wish I never ever hooked. And I wish I would never have met those guys, because I wouldn't have had to do what I did if I hadn't been hooking. It's because of hustling and the guy is going to physically harm me that I have to harm him back. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, because if I wasn't hustling, if I wasn't hooking around, I would have never had a physical problem, and I wouldn't have never had to hurt anybody. And I do have to say one thing. Their families must realize that no matter how much they love the people that died, no matter how much they love them, they were bad people because they were going to hurt me. So they have to realize the fact that this person, no matter how much they loved them or how good they felt they were, this person was either going to physically beat me up, rape me, or kill me. And I don't know which one. And I just turned around and did my fair play before I would get hurt. So I would love to say to the families, that guy is going to ... dot dot dot. You stupid bitch, you killed my husband or whatever, or my brother or something, and just have to say to them, listen, what are they going to do to me? I would be probably turn around if I survived it and say, you stupid bastards, you almost killed me, you almost raped me, you almost beat the shit out of me. It's a long ass quote.
She really is excusing this shit away. Like it blows my mind how that's actually common among a lot of the killers that I've learned about, that it's just how they're able to make excuses for taking lives and fully believe themselves. It's
Well,
almost like
all
a defense mechanism for their own sanity or something. It's like I
for their
gotta
actions of
justify.
why they did, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that they were your family member, but they were going to kill me first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all her confessions are this long and longer. The whole entire dialogue is in the book. But there was so much of the interrogation in there. If you want to highly recommend the book, which I have the book in the show notes. But like, so much of her long quotes are just winded, and they're all mainly about Tyra is not guilty. Just over and over. She didn't do anything. Let her go. And it's just so cringy.
Yeah. Yeah, that woman cast a spell on her.
And it's just like I said, it's like Lee was like, well, I know what I have to do to protect you, so I'll just say that you just didn't know anything, which is total bullshit. We know is bullshit.
Yeah.
And the fact that even if you didn't know the details of the murders, you knew she was up to something and you still didn't do anything because you were afraid to turn her in.
She wasn't afraid to spend that money.
You weren't afraid to turn her in. You were afraid that if you did, you would get punished for being an accomplice. It was all about Tyra. Tyra was out for Tyra.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you want to go into the book, it has their whole entire conversation when she's in jail. And I just hate Tyra so bad. That's like all I can say. It's like you're setting her up to say something. Yeah, so her confessions were Tyra is innocent and why she needs to justify what she did. And
Crazy.
2 days after Lee's interviews with police, Susan Hansen was on duty and assigned to keep an eye on Lee. Her instructions were to listen and document as much as she could remember as soon as it was possible to get her notepad. I had lots of guys, maybe 10 to 12 a day, Lee said. I could have killed all of them, but I didn't want to. I'm really just a nice person. I'm describing a normal day to you here, but a killing day would be about the same. On a normal day, we would just do it by the side of the road if they wanted oral sex, or behind a building, or maybe just off the road in the woods if they wanted it all. On a killing day, those guys always wanted to go way, way back in the woods. Now I know why they did it. They're going to hurt me. I figured if these guys lived and I got fried for attempted murder, I thought, fuck it, I might as well get fried for murder instead. And in her deposition, Officer Hansen said, she was laughing a lot when she talked to me. When she would talk about specifically how she shot the guy, that one guy with the 45, she just stood there. She was sometimes she would laugh, sometimes she was calm and explaining this. Other times she would get very excited. She was never sad in any way. Never once did she say, I'm upset about this. She just said if I hadn't killed them, he'd kill other people. And the prison medic also witnessed Lee's cheerful mood when he stopped by to give her some medication to calm her nerves. I never really saw her down, he said. She was always jovial and boasted of having done 250,000 men in the past 9 years.
Dang, girl.
You shit with that ass? And news that the police had secured a female serial killer's confession soon leaked out to the public, so book and movie deals were pouring into detectives, to Lee and Tyra, and to the victims' relatives. Lee seemed to think she would make millions of dollars from her story, not yet realizing that Florida has a law against criminals profiting in such a manner. Good thing about Florida. You got something good going, Florida. She commanded headlines in the local and national media. She felt famous and continued to talk about the crimes with anyone who would listen. With each retelling, she refined her story a little further, seeking to cast herself in a better light each time. And on Monday, January 28th, 1991, Lee Wuornos was indicted for the murder of Richard Mallory. And by late February, she had been charged with the murders of David Spears in Citrus County and Charles Humphreys and Troy Burris in Marion County. Lee's attorneys engineered a plea bargain where she would plead guilty to 6 charges and receive 6 consecutive life terms. One state's attorney, however, thought she should receive the death penalty, so on Monday, January 14th, 1992, she went to trial for the murder of Richard Mallory. The evidence and testimony of witnesses were severely damaging. Dr. Arthur Botting, the medical examiner who had carried out the autopsy on Mallory's body, stated, that he had taken between 10 and 20 agonizing minutes to die. Tyra testified that Lee had not seemed overly upset, nervous, or drunk when she told her about Mallory's killing. 12 men went on to witness and stand to testify to their encounters with Lee along the Florida's highways and byways over the years. And Florida has a law known as the Williams Rule, which allows evidence relating to other crimes to be omitted if it serves to show a pattern. And because of the Williams Rule, information regarding other killings alleged to have been committed by Lee were presented to the jury. Her claim of having killed in self-defense would have been a lot more believable had the jury only known of Mallory. And that's the one I believe that she did tell the truth about.
Mm-hmm.
But now with the jury made aware of all the murders, self-defense seemed the least plausible explanation. After the experts from her videotape confessions were played, the self-defense claim simply looked ridiculous. Tricia Jenkins, one of Lee's public defenders, did not want her to testify and told her not to, but Lee went against the advice, insisting on telling her story. By now, her account of Mallory's murder barely resembled the one she gave in her confession. Mallory had raped, sodomized, and tortured her, she claimed. On cross-examination, prosecutor John Tanner obliterated any shred of credibility she may have had. As she brought to light all of her lies and inconsistencies, she became agitated and angry.
Saw the door open.
Got a little head poking.
Aw.
Her attorneys repeatedly advised her not to answer questions, and she invoked her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination 25 times. She was defense's only witness, and when she left the stand, there was not much doubt about how her trial was going to end. And on Monday, January 27th, the jury had their verdict 91 minutes later.
Bada bing, bada boom.
We, the jury, find Aileen Wuornos guilty of premeditated felony murder in the first degree. And as the jury filed out, Lee exploded with rage, shouting, "I'm innocent, I was raped, I hope you get raped, scumbags of America." And Lee's outburst was still fresh in the minds of jurors as the penalty phase of her trial began the next day. Expert witnesses for the defense testified that Lee was mentally ill, that she suffered from a borderline personality disorder, and that her horrible upbringing had stunted and ruined her. Jenkins referred to her client as a damaged, primitive child as she tearfully pleaded with the jury to spare Lee's life. But the jurors neither forgot nor forgave the woman that they had come to know during the trial. With a unanimous verdict, they recommended that Judge Blount sentence her to death in the electric chair, and he confirmed the sentence on January 31st. And instead of saying, "God have mercy on your soul," the judge said, "May God have mercy on your corpse."
Oh, rip.
That's from the judge. And Aileen Wuornos did not stand trial again. On Tuesday, March 31st, it's my mom's birthday, 1992, she pleaded no contest to the murders of Dick Humphreys, Troy Burris, and David Spears, saying that she wanted to get it right with God. After a rambling statement to the court, she concluded, "I wanted to confess to you that Richard Mallory did violently rape me, as I've told you, but these others did not. They only began to start to." She ended her monologue by turning to Assistant State's Attorney Rick Ridgway and hissing, "I hope your wife and children get raped in the ass."
Ooh. Oh, Lee.
And on Friday, May 15th, the judge handed her 3 more death sentences. She made an obscene gesture and muttered, "Motherfucker." And Lee shared death row with several faces familiar to readers of true crime. One example is Judy, oh god, I've never heard of her, Buoniano. She is she's also known as the Black Widow.
I don't know. I don't know this.
She's 45 years old and she was on death row since 1985. She was convicted of poisoning her husband, drowning her quadriplegic. Oh my god, this is what happens when I talk too much. Can you say it for me?
Quadriplegic.
Drowning her quadriplegic son by pushing him off a canoe.
Wow.
Oh, I do know this story.
I don't, and it sounds horrible.
Oh, we're not done. And planting a bomb in her boyfriend's car.
Oh my god.
She had the distinction of being the first woman to die in Florida's electric chair on March 30th, 1998.
I can't believe I've not heard of this.
I heard it on, I think, Deadly Woman. Oh my god. Am I talking to text? No. Not Deadly Woman. Woman That Kill? Stop. My notes are doing the microphone thing. Stop. All right. At the time of her execution, Lee was 46 years old, but looked a decade older. The condemned woman, wearing an orange t-shirt and blue trousers, was 5 feet 4 inches in height and weighed 133 pounds. The characteristic strawberry blonde hair described by witnesses framed her face, but her eyes were constantly bloodshot. Always looking washed out, her once attractive looks had been replaced with a face that life had not treated kindly. She still had the scar between the eyes and burn scars on her forehead. The only view she had of the outside world was a parking lot and a high fence with razor wire. There were no bars in her cell, but a metal door with a small hatch separated her from the rest of the cell block. It cost the state of Florida $72.39 a day to keep Lee in her place of incarceration. And on September 29th, 2002, Lee was woken in her cell, was told to shower and dress for the drive north to her place of execution. This would be the last day the hot Florida sun would strike her face, and it would be for only a few moments at that. Heavily shackled, she shuffled into daylight and was assisted into a Florida Department of Corrections truck. Ironically, her route would take her north along I-95 towards the Florida Turnpike, west to Wildwood, then up I-75 to Gainesville. When that fateful day arrived, her head and body hair was to be shaved to provide better contact with the moistened copper electrodes attached to her body by the execution team.
Oh my gosh.
Sanitary towels would be forced into her vagina and rectum, and cotton wool pushed into her nostrils and ears to prevent the leakage of bodily fluids. And in Florida, executioners are anonymous private citizens who are paid $150 per death. A 4-second jolt of 2,000 volts is applied, followed by 1,000 volts for the next 7 seconds, and finally 200 volts for 2 minutes. Electrocution provides visibly destructive effects on the body as the internal organs are burned. The prisoner usually leaps forward against the restraints when the switch is thrown. The body changes color, swells, and may even catch fire.
Oh my gosh.
Hope you're not eating. The dying person may also lose control of the bladder and bowels and vomit blood. Lee knew all of this, but appeared unfazed. She said, "Death does not scare me. God will be beside me, taking me up with him. When I leave this shell, I am sure of it. I have been." But Lee would die by lethal injection. She was strapped to the execution gurney outside the death chamber and then wheeled into the room so the assembled witnesses could watch her die. When the lethal drugs began to flow into her, it was a quiet death, other than her final statement, which was, "I just like to say, I'm sailing with the rock and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus. June 6th, like the movie, big mothership and all, I'll be back." And 2 coughs. She made no sound. She closed her eyes and her heart stopped beating. And at 9:47 a.m., Lee was pronounced dead. The curtains were open for the witnesses to view the deceased, and the ashes of Aileen Wuornos were scattered at a secret location in Fostoria, Tuscola County, Michigan. And I'm done.
Now, what was the date of her execution again?
Let me go back. Okay, so she died at 9:47 in the morning on, I believe, September 29th, 2002.
2002. Okay. Whew. What a life.
Gotta get it out of my brain. Yeah, so that's the story of Aileen Wuornos in a nutshell.
Loyal to Tyra till the end.
It's amazing how much of a deep dive I did and how much was left out at the same time, because there's so much to her story. We'd be here for like 7 parts.
Yeah.
She's a very complicated woman, but it's funny at the very end. She's like, the first one raped, sodomized me and all that, and then the others didn't, but they were going to, so I killed them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there's one point in court where she does like shout out that like Richard Mallory really was trying to like rape her and do all this, and that's why I truly believed that he did, because she never really changed her story too much about him.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, I think he really started her killing spree, because she's like, well, why am I doing this when I can just kill him the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like what we've talked about in the other episodes, where she just had from the trauma. Like, I think she was a little delusional and just expected things to go that way from then on. So she just went on the downward spiral and never looked back until Tyra left.
Where she ironically didn't kill anybody else.
Right.
So,
yeah. I feel like it's one of those things where 2 things are true at the same time. Like, I do think that she believed that she was a victim, and unfortunately it went too far, and I think it was a delusion. I really do. And she just was so defensive that she couldn't see anything else any other way.
no, and I do believe she was mentally ill.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
I mean, the trauma can do some horrific things to the brain. And I think in her case, it absolutely happened to her.
And there's a lot of people that believe that because she was mentally ill, she shouldn't have gotten the death penalty.
Yeah.
because of mental illness. I don't think she should have gotten the death penalty personally, despite the 7 men that she killed, because she was mentally ill, and in her head, because of her illness, like you said, she truly believed that she was saving her own life.
Yeah.
From these men, because they were going to do things to her.
It's tragic.
Yep. But I'm done.
I feel like people have really given us their opinions up to this point, you know. It's very split down the center whether you think that she was a victim or not, but I don't know. Either way, it's just a tragic story.
Yeah, and there's no argument on that she really did have a rough life. Like, her childhood, as you saw, sucked, and she most likely would have been a completely different person if she had a loving and caring childhood. But it still doesn't give you the right to be a victim, to kill other people, to make them your victims, no matter how shitty your childhood was.
Exactly.
And I think if she had the same life, but she just stopped at Richard Mallory and was on trial for Richard Mallory, that one would be hard. Because if that really did happen and that truly was self-defense, then that I don't think she should go to jail for.
Yeah.
If it truly was, unfortunately, the only people that know the true story are the dead men and Aileen Wuornos.
I would love to know. I guess we never will.
No, she's been dead a long time.
Yep.
20 plus years. I wonder how Tyra's doing these days.
Wonder who she's mooching off of now.
She should have been implicated in some way.
I agree.
Like, even if she spent a year in prison, I don't care. She should have punished in some way and not rewarded with movie deals and book deals, and the outcome is shitty.
Yeah, she didn't deserve that loyalty.
No, she could have saved other men from dying.
Absolutely.
Or it's like Thelma and Louise, you know, if Lee went to Tyra and be like, this is what happened, and I killed this guy in self-defense because this is what he did for me for hours, and Lee's probably like, oh, we gotta run from the law, where Tyra should have been like, no, we should just turn yourself in, say it was self-defense, and go down the really bad spiral.
Yeah.
But instead of Thelma and Louise driving off the cliff, like, Lee just drives off the cliff herself, where Tyra's like, bye! Yeah. Watching alongside the cliff. Bye.
Damn it, Tyra.
See you in hell in a couple years. Don't even know what to say to that, because it's ridiculous.
Mental picture, mental image.
Yeah, she's like literally driving by. Don't worry, I'm doing it for us. I'm taking one for the team.
Peace.
I love you, Tyra Moore.
I don't know why, but I do.
She's like, she was short and stubby and not attractive. Like, Lee was more attractive, worn down than Tyra was.
And just clearly willing to throw her under the bus. Like, that alone is like, why? Why the loyalty? I don't understand.
She gave you no loyalty in return.
Yeah.
You know what she's doing. Like, Lee is not as dumb as people portray her. She knew what you were trying to get her to do. Yeah. And honestly, because when they arrested her, they only arrested her, nothing for murder, right? So she didn't confess to anything. She would have gotten off on that.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't have like total proof from the murders. It was they needed that confession. Ugh. So many things could have just been so differently.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Well, guys, what do you think? Again, email us at weeklybazaarpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to know your thoughts on the series. Hope you enjoyed it. Montana put a lot of work into it. You're glad to be done with it.
I am.
You did good. You did good. So you all can find us on all the social medias at Weekly Bazaar Podcast. You can, like I said, email us, weeklybazaarpodcast@gmail.com. You can support us on Patreon for $5 a month at patreon.com/weeklybazaar. It helps to keep us motivated, helps to keep us going. We truly appreciate the support. Like I always say, whether you support us on there or not, we just appreciate that you give us your time and that we're worth your time, even though we say a lot of shit wrong sometimes.
All the time.
All the time. It's endearing. It's cute. You know it.
Because we're blessed.
We're blessed. All right, guys. Well, if it's weird,
we're going to talk about it.
bye.
Bye.